Contender is the way I see it, is just a meta contender. Competitive is a deck that can compete. It's not going to be at the high end of the meta as like the rest of them. Like I wouldn't expect it to go toe to toe with Cool Tunes, for example, but it could still do quite well in certain scenarios and certain matchups. So it's not a complete write-off. And then Casual is a deck that I would expect to only be played at a local environment. Not saying that it can't do something with the right pilot, but obviously you can't rely on decks being pilot specific, because if you rely on a deck being pilot specific, it starts to get quite messy. So there should be 13, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Yes, there's 13 decks up here. Some of them are brand new decks. Some of them are decks that are getting like 1 or 2 card support. I thought it'd be fair enough to kind of give every deck that has any form of support a bit of a shout out, a bit of a mention, and kind of work it back from there. So we'll start off with the Melies. So Melies themselves got a couple of brand new cards actually, and some pretty decent ones in this. Melies have always been an interesting deck, and sometimes it's been played pure, sometimes it's been played as a bit of a hybrid. But when we look at this, they got a brand new XYZ in the form of the Melies God Mummy. And once per turn you get to also XYZ itself by using a Melies Mummy you control, and you transfer its materials to it. And if it is special owned, you get to add a Melies spell or trap from the deck or grave to the hand. Then it gains attack equal to the combined attack and defense of Melies monsters attached to it. Detach 5 materials from this card to return all cards your opponent controls to the hand. So it's actually a really nice going second option, and it can help them bridge into Zeus pretty nicely. One of the other cards that they got, which I think is the highest rarity card they got in this set, is Melies Rabbies. So it's the tuner of the set, of the archetype, and then if your opponent normal or special is a monster, etc. in dive set, special on this card from the hand, then you get to fusion summon a Melies fusion monster from the extra deck using monster from the hand or field. If this card is normal or special, you get to add a Melies monster from the deck to the hand. Then if you added a normal monster, being like Melies Rabbit, you get to special summon any number of beast monsters from your hand. You can only use 1 effect per turn, so quite a nice option there. So when we're looking at Melies, and again, if you're someone that plays Melies religiously, you'll probably be able to provide more information on this of where you think it sticks. But to me, in my opinion, Melies is a casual deck. Like, I think it can have its odd moments where it can be very, very competitive. And don't get it wrong, when I put something down on casual, it's not like the deck is completely dead. I just mean, like, I wouldn't expect to see Melies at a high representation at, like, when we're talking about the what's coming up, like Euros, for example, I wouldn't expect to see Melies there, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, the next archetype is a brand new TCG exclusive kind of based archetype, or like a world exclusive archetype, and that is the chess. Now, these are called like the Angelices. I still feel there's a lot to be desired on the Angelices. They got a couple of different cards. I love the kind of thought behind it and how the deck is chess based. I think that's really kind of cool and quite unique. I am dropping so many frames. What is going on? There's a lot to be desired. I mean, hopefully just because of the way the visual works, that dropping this amount of frames shouldn't be that big of an issue. I hope. Must be because I'm doing it at 1080 60, maybe. Yeah, anyway. Yeah. So going back to the chess archetype. Now, the chess archetype have got a couple of really good cards. They've got a brand new, well, not a brand new trap card. They've got a trap card, which is actually pretty insane. It's called Angelici Opening to E4. Now, what makes this card so incredibly good is if your opponent goes first, you get to activate this card from the hand during the standby phase of their first turn. So you place an Angelici field spell from the hand, deck, or graveyard face up onto your field. And if you do, you special summon a level 2 or 7 Angelici monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone. And if you do that, you place an Angelici monster from your extra deck into your spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous spell. Now, the benefit of that one is all of the Angelici monsters that are synchro monsters, or they technically are all synchro monsters at this moment in time, have effects while they're face up in the spell and trap zone as continuous spells. So one of them limits your opponent to like 5 summons on the turn or something like that, or 5 monster effects, I believe it is, which can be very, very damaging. And then you've got the knight, which is the level 7. I think we've got the knight, the rook, the pawn, and the king. So I think the next one we get is the queen, which has already been confirmed for the next core set. We just don't know what their effects are. And what I like about the chess or the Angelici archetype is that it's something that's completely new to the game. So quite like a TCG exclusive, it's new. People in the OCG don't know what they do yet, I believe. At least that's what I've understood. I could be so totally wrong on this one. I know there is definitely a card that is a TCG exclusive for sure. And I'm going to try and find it here. Here it is. Which is Witness of the Ancients. And what makes this one so good is if you have a Synchro monster in your field or graveyard, you special on this card from the hand. And if it is special, you get to place up to 3 Synchro monsters with different names from the extra deck and or graveyard into your spell and trap zone as face-up continuous spells. And special on an Arc token with a level equal to the number placed. Also, for the rest of this turn, you can't special on from the extra deck except Synchros. So straight away, the fact that it locks you into Synchros just means that Harmonia is going to be an incredibly good component for this particular type of deck. But the machine is a tuner, and I believe it's a level 8. Yeah, so when you spawn that token, you can start spawning out level 10s or level 8s. Level 10s, 11s, or 9s synchros if you wanted to, which could be pretty cool. So for now, as it currently stands, the Angelices are a very casual deck. Now, on their own is what I mean, but if you were to hybrid them, I think there's talk that they could be hybrided, combined with Labyrinth. Which could be really kind of cool, actually, because they look kind of like a Labyrinth style deck, and Labyrinth, Chess in a Labyrinth kind of seems like a good fit. But yeah, I think as it currently stands right now, there's just not enough of the Angelices to be run pure. Like, you'd play 3 of the trap card, 3 of the field spell. I think they have another trap card that they can play, and then you play 3 of the Witness, but then everything else is all extra deck monsters. So it's definitely a hybrid deck. You'd play it with something else. I just don't think the code has been cracked as to what to play it with as of yet. The next one is going to be the Light and Darkness deck. I don't need to spend a huge amount of time on this one because everyone and their mums spent time on this deck already. But the Light and Darkness deck is basically Dark Magician of Black Chaos and Blackluster Soldier. Defensive and aggressive. They've got a trap card that basically lets you spawn them out in circle, which is pretty cool. But the idea is that with these 2 ritual monsters, these are kind of the end pieces you want to try and gain to or get to. You've also got a main deck monster that can't be normal summoned or set. And the reason that this is so good, and if a lot of people are you questioning why stuff like Vision Resonator is being asked for and why Power Vice Dragon is being asked for, is that you can technically play them as like a mini engine. And technically, because it can't be normal summoned or set, you can work your way into the Blade Dragon. And the Blade Dragon lets you add a monster that can't be normal summoned or set. So with the Black Chaos, it's just called Black Chaos in the TCG, which is pretty crazy. It can't be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from the hand by shuffling a spellcaster or a warrior ritual monster from the hand or grave into the deck. Only special summon it once per turn this way. You can discard this card to place a continuous trap card that mentions I think it's like the Rituals of Light and Dark from your deck or graveyard to your field, face up. It's unaffected by your opponent's activated effects while you have a ritual spell in your graveyard. And then once per turn, you get to banish 2 cards your opponent controls. So like non-activated Magician of Black Chaos, or just called Black Chaos. Then when you actually look at their ritual monster counterparts, the Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician, which I believe is a different name in the TCG. If it is special owned, you get to add a spell from the grave to your hand. Spells and traps you control cannot be destroyed or banished by your opponent's card effects, and this card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects unless they target this card. And you get to target a card your opponent controls and banish it face down, and that's not a quick effect unfortunately, but that just gives you spot removal. And then when you flip over to the Blackluster Soldier side, the Blackluster Soldier is the more aggressor. So if it is special summoned, you get to target 1 card your opponent controls and banish it. And keep in mind, if it's special summoned, so there are ways to like loop these around, ignoring their summoning conditions, and kind of go from there. It can't be destroyed by battle, unaffected by your opponent's activated effects unless they target this card. And when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you get to gain 1500 attack. And if you do, you get to make a second attack in a row, which is pretty damaging because the permanent 1500 attack gain is pretty insane. So this is definitely the contender. This is the contender of the set. This is what a lot of duelists are picking up, trying to buy. Pre-orders for this core was at like 175 because the ratios were only playing 1 of each ritual. If you were to get a deck that played all 3 of the, came with 3 of each of the rituals, you're looking at like 240-ish, which is quite high when you kind of consider it. But this would have come with, I believe it comes with 3 secret rares. I don't think there's any ultra rares, unless you consider the extended art cards. Whereas I think with Blitz Cleak, the Blitz Cleak get more because I think they have 2 secret rares and 2 ultra rares that they use. So, but yeah. The Ritual Light and Darkness deck, which is what is being called right now, is the highest contended deck from this set. Like, if you wanted to buy a deck just that came out specifically in this set, that's the one you're going to be going for. It would, in my opinion, be the strongest. It's the one that I expect to try and play toe-to-toe with Cool Tunes. It's the one I would expect to play toe-to-toe with the rest of the meta decks running around, like the branded. Just because, like, unaffected, unless they target them, it will see, like, a shift in some duelists' playstyle. The next one's Invoked. Now, Invoked, again, are actually really, really kind of cool in this set because Invoked got a brand new fusion monster, they got a brand new Alistar, they got a brand new fusion spell as well, and those cards can really help the deck push a little bit further forward because the Alistar itself is, if it's in the hand, you get to target a spellcaster or a fusion monster on the field, especially on this card, and if you do, the target monster gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. If it's normal or specialed or flip face up, you get to banish an invoke monster from the extra deck to add an invocation or a spell that mentions it from the deck to the hand. So alongside that, there's also a brand new fusion spell that lets you use I believe it lets you shuffle back your banished cards, which is pretty nuts. And then the best thing about it is that alongside this as well, the other fusion monsters they got are kind of like mini, I wouldn't even say mini towers, but they're like mini floodgates, which are really, really annoying for a lot of duelists to deal with. And I'll quickly explain to them once I find the invocation sword. Just try and find the exact wording on the invocation sword. But regardless, they got a brand new fusion monster in the form of the Okanoius. So the Okanoius is, while it is in the main monster zone, your opponent cannot target monsters for attacks except this one, and it's 3k, 3k. And then while this card is in the extra monster zone, any monster sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. Banish this card from the graveyard, target a fusion monster you control, and it can attack directly this turn. So I like making Purgatrio attack directly is pretty funny because then Purgatrio just gets to attack directly all the time. But overall, like the deck itself is really cool. I like what it can do. And then the Invocation Sword is fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monster you control. If summoning an invoked fusion monster this way, you can also return banished monsters to the graveyard as material, which is mental. During your main phase, if this card is in the graveyard, get target an Alistar and invocation in your grave, shuffle this card into the deck, and if you do, add the targeted card to your hand. Only use each effect once per turn, which is mad because you can go invocation, do your play, activate invocation sword, do another play, and then you get that invocation from the graveyard back to the hand. So you get to make a third fusion summon. So I'm actually really excited to see what the invocation, like invoked monsters can do. And keeping in mind, you've got Kaliga as well. You've got all the other fusion monsters. I feel that I would not be surprised. Like, I definitely feel 100% it's a competitive deck. Like, there's no doubt about that. I think Invoked will actually take a few names coming into the next format. I don't think it's going to be as widely considered as a high-end contender as the Light and Darkness deck, but I could see it kind of sneaking itself in there without much of an issue, which would be really kind of cool to see. The next one we're going to talk about is the Spirit Charmers. Now, the Spirit Charmers didn't really get like a huge amount of support. They got drip fed a couple of bits of support. But we did get a brand new Possessed Destiny win. So it requires a Spellcaster plus a Wind monster, and it's always treated as a familiar Possessed. If it is Fusion Summoned, you get to place a Wind monster from your graveyard onto the bottom of the deck. Target one monster your opponent controls and take control of that monster. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, target 2 cards on the field, including the Wind monster you control. Place them on the bottom of the deck in any order. So it's just a nice another level of disruption that you can get to and you can make during your turn, which I think is really kind of cool. That being said, unfortunately, it is still a very, very casual deck. Like a very casual deck. Charmers need to be played with the Magisters to be like high end. And then even then you could probably arguably play them with Invoked. And when you're playing them with Invoked, I think it's the Invoked that lead the way, that make them more competitive, more infected, and just kind of... There's probably better engines to play with the Invoked, is what I'm trying to get to. So you're not getting the best version of Invoked if you do it that way. You're just getting the best version of... you're just getting the best version of that deck. You're just getting the best version of the Charmers, Familiar Possessed. The next one I want to talk about is the Phantom Knights. Now, the Phantom Knights got a ultra rare, and I believe it's like 1 or 2 super rares. So the one that I'm going to talk about is the Phantom Knights of Malevolent Scythe. So it requires 2 level 3 dark monsters. Detach material from this card, especially on a Phantom Knight monster from the deck. If you Xyz an Xyz Dragon monster while this card is in your monster zone, set during damage state, you get to add a rank up magic spell from the deck to the hand. If this card is destroyed, you get to add one of your banished Phantom Knight cards from the hand, except an Xyz monster, on each effect once per turn. Now, what they've tried to do with the Phantom Knights is they started to try and bridge the... well, not that they hadn't before, but they're definitely trying to bridge more the Dragon XZ side, like the Dark Rebellions and everything, with the Phantom Knights themselves. They did also get an ultra rare monster, which is the most expensive one, which I think is quite nice actually, because it's relatively cheap and easy to pick up. And that's the Phantom Knights of Decayed Cloak. So reveal one other Phantom Knight card in your hand, special on this card from the hand. If it is normal or special, you get to add a Phantom Knight monster from the deck to the hand. Banish this card from the graveyard, target an XZs you control. This turn, you can use it as material for the XZ summon, using its rank as if it were a level. Only each effect once per turn, which I think is really, really nice. So the support that they got is really cool. Do I think it takes them up and above the rest of these decks down here in casual? I honestly don't think it does, not on its own. I think the deck could be very surprising, but I feel that it kind of, like, at least with these two here, the Angelices and the Familiar Possessed, they're a little bit untested. Whereas we know Phantom Knights have had a moment in the sun where they've done really, really well. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were to do a little bit better than they were. But as it currently stands right now, I don't think they have enough to kick into gear to be in contention with the current meta right now. Speaking of the other kind of possible contender, let's take a look at Blitz Cleak. So the Blitz Cleak had 2 secret rares and I believe 2 ultra rares and then a bunch of super rares in this set. The archetype itself is kind of cool because it's like a thunder based archetype, but it does have a very strong restriction on it that, so talking about Surge Blitz Cleak, which is one of the secret rares, you reveal this card in the hand, target a monster on the field, destroy it, and if you do, special summon a thunder monster from the hand. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon effect monsters except from the hand. So it's actually quite damaging. Like having an extra deck lock can be quite annoying. Yes, of course, if you don't plan to go into your extra deck, you can start to utilize stuff like Harmonias. You can start using stuff like anything that lets you kind of utilize your extra deck. So Pot of Extravagance could be quite good. You've got to consider that Pot of Sloth is now a deck, a card, which is actually really good in Sky Strikers because you activate that guy in second, you just draw and set yourself up with some spells, which is really, really nice. And then carrying on with the Blitz Cleak, if we talk about its main boss monster right now being, once I find it, the Whisker Blitz Cleak. So during the turn, a card of cards was destroyed by your Blitz Cleak card effect. Quick effect, reveal this card in the hand. Special summon up to 3 thunder monsters from the hand. Then you can destroy up to that many cards on the field. For the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon effect monsters except from the hand. When a monster effect is activated, except in the hand, quick effect, return one other thunder monster you control to the hand. Negate the activation if you do destroy that monster. So it's a nice negator, it's a nice line of protection, and it can actually be quite annoying for a lot of opponents to deal with. Now, I don't think it's an absolute perfect deck. I still feel that it has its weaknesses. There's no doubt about that in my mind. I feel that it's probably a little bit above casual, just because it can be played in a very anti-meta esque style approach. And I feel that, again, it can't, well, I mean, it can be played pure, but it probably won't be played pure. Like, there'll be better ways to play the Blitz Cleaks themselves to maximize their involvement and maximize how effective they're going to be in the current meta. So, with that being said, I feel that they're kind of like an anti-meta deck. I wouldn't say they're casual right now, but they also just haven't had enough testing to really kind of put themselves above and beyond the rest. So with the potential they have, I feel that they could be in the competitive scene, but I feel that as it currently stands, I think they're kind of like on the branch. They're kind of like on the edge here. Okay, let's talk about Sacred Beasts. So, starting off with Sacred Beast, the fusion monster, the Chaotic Sacred Beast, has actually already been confirmed that it's got the name wrong. It should be the Chaotic Phantasmal Sacred Beast. So if you are going to Euros or any... it's only in Europe, actually, that misprint has happened. You can trade 1 copy of your Chaotic Sacred Beast with the incorrect name for 2 copies of the Chaotic Phantasmal Sacred Beast. So, just as a little note. Anyway... their brand new fusion monster requires 3 level 10 monsters that can't be normal summoned or set, and the reason it needs to be a phantasmal is it means that the phantasmal spell card can actually help you cheat it out a little bit. So it must either be fusioned or specialed from the extra deck by sending the above card you control to the graveyard. Only special summon it once per turn this way, no matter which method you use. The first 2 times this card on the field will be destroyed by card effect, each turn it is not, and then once per chain up to 3 times per turn. Quick effect, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effects. And then you get to gain life points equal to half that monster's attack. So the fusion monster's pretty decent. It also got a new version of Hamon, Raviel, and Uriah. Yeah, Uriah. It also got a brand new spell card as well called Sacred Beast Released, and lets you add 3 Sacred Beast monsters with different names from your deck to the hand, then discard 2 cards. If it's in the graveyard except the turn of center, you get to banish it to add a level 10 Pyro, Thunder, or Fiend monster that cannot be normal summon or set from the deck to the hand. It actually got like a lot of supers, like the Uriah, Hamon, and Raviel were all supers. And then it also got Summoner of the Sacred Beasts. So reveal this card in the hand, discard a card, and if you do, special summon a Sacred Beast monster from your hand in defense vision, except a level 8 monster. You can discard 1 card to special summon a Sacred Beast monster from the hand or grave in defense vision, except a level 8, or the discarded card. You can banish this card from the grave to special summon a Sacred Beast monster from the grave in defense vision, except a level 8. So just more ways of being able to get you direct access to the Sacred Beasts. Because remember, they can't be normal summon a set, and they must be special with the effect of a Sacred Beast card. And considering that the summoner of the Sacred Beast is a Sacred Beast card, it's actually quite easy to do so. So, I actually feel, very funnily enough, I think that the Sacred Beast could be very, very fun. So, I could feel that they could be very, very powerful as well, because they can spawn the field with like just incredibly powerful boss monsters, but also can be a very, very disruptive style deck as well. I would feel remiss if I put this in competitive, but just by playing the way that the Sacred Beasts were previously, I think they actually have potential to be competitive. But using like taking non-biased out of this, it's actually like it's probably just considered a casual deck. But I would very much love to see this up here. But I feel that it's quite like the Melies. It's also quite like the Phantom Knights. If you're a fan person of these 3 decks here, you will play them, you will be fighting for them to be considered as competitive, which they might very well be. But I feel that what I see here is these 2 here will go toe-to-toe for top cuts with the current meta. This gap here, I feel, would be fighting to try and get to that one. I just feel that all these decks down here, apart from maybe Phantom Beast and Blitz Cleak, will fail to have representation, which will make it very tricky for them to break into it. How good would Branded be with Chaos? I'm saving up to $250 for Chaos stuff post-release. I don't know what Branded plays with the Chaos cards, if I'm being honest. I don't know what they would use. So if you have an idea of what you'd be looking to buy for them, I mean, would you play the Chaos Light and Dark monsters? You probably could. Like, I mean, maybe the Chaos monsters become like splashable options. I'm not sure. But we can pick back up on that in a minute. The next one is one of my personal favourites, and that's S-Force. Now, I'm not saying S-Force by any means of the imagination stand a chance whatsoever. But I'd be remiss, again, if I didn't mention S-Force, because they got 4 brand new cards. They got 2 brand new Link monsters, they got a brand new main deck monster, and a brand new spell card. So, for the monster, if it is normal or special, you get to add an S-Force monster from the deck to the hand except itself. Then if your opponent controls a monster in this card's column, you get to draw 1 card. If your opponent activates a monster effect in the same column as a monster you control, except during a damage step, you get to make all S4 monsters you control gain 1,000 attacks. So it's actually quite a nice buff card, which is really cool. The spell card is special summons an S-Force monster from the hand, grave, or banishment, but banish it when it leaves the field. If another card is banished while this card is in the graveyard, except during damage step, you get to banish this card, take 2 S-Force cards from the deck, accept itself, banish 1, and send the other to the graveyard. So the spell card's actually really, really cool. The Link monsters themselves, the deck was missing like Link monsters to help them Link climb a little bit higher. It could be considered anti-meta because you can play, like, you can main deck Dimensional Fissure, but it's a deck that relies a lot on columns. So if your opponent is smart enough and you can't flood the entire field with monsters to get into your columns, your opponent can play around it very, very easily, very, very quickly. The next ones we're going to talk about is Power Patron. So the Power Patron's got some nice new support on this one. And again, nothing was like crazy high rarity. So they got Purification Power Patron, which is a Link 2. It requires 2 non-Link monsters. And then if it is Link summoned and you have a Power Patron monster in your graveyard, you get to add a Fearalized card from the deck to the hand. During the main phase, if you control another Dark Fairy monster, you get to quick effect immediately after the effect resolves, Link summon a Link monster. Use a monster you control, including this card. So it basically is an own in-archetypal IP Masquerena. But then there is, I think there's a brand new Fearalize, which is an ultra rare spell. And then a lot of the other Power Patron card-esques are like commons. So the new Fearalize card is called Fearalized Past Lol, So if you control an Archmage, Doomsday, or Elf Note card, special summon a Melies the Pure from the hand or deck. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when that monster is special summoned, which is actually quite nice. Banish this card from the graveyard, target a Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz monster in your graveyard, and special summon it to a zone a link monster points to. The fact that it's generic and lets you target any Fusion, any Synchro, or any Xyz in the graveyard is pretty cool. So, Power Patrons themselves were already fairly competitive, like there were FDK versions. If you're considering Power Patrons as a pure deck, I still feel that it could own up. And when I'm looking at Power Patrons themselves, the fact that this deck featured along the top tables towards the end of the day, and I'm pretty sure some of them snuck into top 64 at UK Nationals, getting new support is only going to make them better. So probably not pure Power Patrons, because I still think they're lacking a little bit. But as an overall hybrid, if you're using a Power Patron engine, in whether you're using that with Doomsday, whether you're using that with Dark Lords, Elf Notes, you name it, it's definitely going to give them a nice consistency buff. Speaking of Elf Notes, so we have Elf Note June Pride. Now this was, I believe in the OCG, it was like a promo. So this is the only single card that they got in this set. But what a card it is. So it is a level, I think it's a level 10. Yeah, level 10 Synchro. While this card is in the center main monster zone, neither player can declare attacks except with monsters in their center main monster zone. During the main phase, if this card is in the center main monster zone, quick effect, return this card to the extra, and if you do, special up to one Elf Note monster each from the hand, deck, and graveyard. Which is pretty mad, because you make this, and you just spawn Elf Note monsters to the field. The fact of the matter is, it can also bring back an Elf Note from the graveyard. So if you include the Elf Note Synchro monster that we currently have, there is 5 Elf Note monsters that this can spam out, which is pretty good. And then when it does that, remember that all of the Elf Note monsters have effects to switch themselves around with the main monster zone. So, the center main monster zone, which ultimately ends up leading itself to either a... it leads itself to a destroy level 6 or lower, a destroy a face-up spell and trap, and banish a card from your opponent's hand at random. So it's actually pretty impressive at how powerful it can be. And again, Elf Notes were competitive prior to this. It only probably needs one of this, and it's definitely going to be up there as a competitive option. Moving into the final two. So the next one is like one of my personal favorites, and that's Clown Crew. I just really like Clown Crew. I love what they can offer. I love what they can do. They only got a brand new Trap and a brand new Link monster that you could arguably play at like 1 each if you wanted to. I don't think it's changed the deck that much. I would argue that Clown Crew can be competitive, whether you're playing pure Clown Crew or Mitsu. Again, quite a few Clown Crew decks actually made their way into the top 64 and the top 128 at UK Nat. So the deck is already up there. The 2 new cards don't change it as much as the new Pendulum monster will do, which we get in the next core set. But the deck is still there. It's still going to be very good. I feel that the fact that it can get you access to Vanity's Fiend, the fact that it can Ras Fear Mode you during your turn is pretty damaging. And it's like, bro, what the hell? So I'm quite happy putting Clown Crew there. Again, past records will prove it. The only reason that stuff like Blitz Cleak, Sacred Beast, and the rest are down in casual is because they haven't proven it yet. So this is kind of where they stand. The last card is a brand new card, technically for Sword Soul, because it's the 3 champions of Sword Soul. It requires a level 4 tuner and then 1 or more non-tuners, and it is a level 8. If it's synchro summoned, you get to add a level 4 or level 8 monster, spellcaster monster, whose attack equals its own defense from the deck or grave to the hand. Then you target a face-up card on the field, negate its effects. Then if an Ecclesia monster or Fallen of Albers is in your graveyard, destroy that card. Owns each effect once per turn. So, honestly, with this one, it doesn't really enhance the Sword Soul strategy itself. But if you are playing Sword Soul with the Fallen in White package, then it kind of steps it up a level. But again, Sword Soul, unfortunately, in my opinion, they still remain as the casual deck. Like, I hope it would prove me wrong, but honestly, I think like the loss of Baron the Floor was a lot bigger than a lot of people kind of gave it thought for, which is quite interesting to see. So, anyway, just picking back up on the comments, seen some Red Dragon Archfiend decks running the new Chaos Magician stuff. Will you make a video on it? I mean, I wasn't planning to, but yes, I've kind of already mentioned the reason that decks will play it is because the level 7 searches out a monster that cannot be normal summoned or set. So you can search out the new Black Chaos, which isn't the ritual monster itself, but technically you could search out the ritual monster if you wanted to. And I've also seen people trying to get hold of the Crimson King. I'm not sure. The only reason I think people will get hold of the Crimson King is because the idea would be that you go Fallen of Albaz, turn into the Crimson King, because obviously it's a generic level 8 synchro. You search out Crimson Gaia or Power Vice Dragon. Power Vice Dragon then gets you Vision Resonator. Vision Resonator with Power Vice Dragon then gets you into the Crimson Blade Dragon. And then the Crimson Blade Dragon again grabs you a level 8 monster that cannot be normal summoned or set. So whether that be Black Chaos or whether that be your BLS or Ritual monster, whichever one you want to go for, it basically just gets to add them to the hand, which is really nice. So I'm not sure. I mean, does it take it up? I suppose with Red Dragon Archery, it definitely gives it another level. I just don't know what you would take out for the package, because you'd probably play... What, you'd play one Black Chaos, right? I guess. Would it be one Black Chaos? Just have a quick look. Because what does Black Chaos get you directly? So you have to shuffle a Ritual monster by shuffling one Ritual monster, Spellcaster Warrior from hand or grave into the deck. Okay, so you probably won't going to go for the Black Chaos straight away. But I don't think the rituals don't do anything on their own, right? So there's no way to get the ritual spell. So I guess it's just like an extended bridge. Oh, there'll be some bottles falling in the shower. Good, it's that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the video. I haven't got... I wasn't going to make this the longest video ever. I've dropped like 61,000 frames, which is crazy. So I don't know how this is coming across to you guys. Hopefully this is coming across pretty steady. I guess I'll have a look at the recording, and hopefully it's all well and good and I can upload it for you. Anyway, thank you so much for every single one of you that watch this live. If you're watching this on catch up or replay or whatever, then by all means, please make sure you smash that like button, hit the notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. I'm going to try and cover as many of these decks you see in front of you as possible. I should have enough to do S-Force, which would be really cool, but I think the interest in S-Force is going to be a lot lower. I should be able to complete Sacred Beast soon. I think I'm just waiting for Homons and Raviels. I should have a Light and Darkness deck. I think like it might be the Invoked and the Blitz Cleak that take the longest, just because I'm still missing quite a few pieces for them. But my sneak event is tomorrow, so hopefully I'll be able to pick up some pieces from there and, you know, be able to get as much information and profiles across to you as possible. For now, thank you so much for watching. Do like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.